Have you ever felt the profound and maddening sensation of being trapped in a game where the rules are not just constantly changing, but seem to have been written in a language you can no longer comprehend, a language your own body has forgotten how to speak? You feel as though you are the only participant who was not handed the instruction manual, left to stumble through a labyrinth of conflicting advice and broken promises. With unwavering dedication, you meticulously follow the guidance dispensed by experts, wellness gurus, and well-meaning friends. You embark on a culinary pilgrimage, purifying your diet with a monk-like discipline, surgically removing every morsel of food that once brought you simple joy, the warm crust of bread, the sweet comfort of a dessert, the savory richness of a favorite meal. Your plate becomes a sterile landscape of lean proteins and leafy greens, a testament to your commitment. You become a devotee of daily movement, your fitness tracker a constant companion, its digital display a measure of your virtue as you dutifully accumulate thousands upon thousands of steps, pacing your home, your office, your neighborhood, in a relentless pursuit of a caloric deficit that remains tantalizingly out of reach. Perhaps you have ventured into the more advanced realms of biohacking, experimenting with the temporal restriction of your meals, shrinking your eating window through intermittent fasting, enduring the morning pangs of hunger with the promise of a metabolic breakthrough. You are, by all external measures, doing everything right. You are the model student, the perfect patient, yet the overwhelming feeling that permeates your existence is one of profound and utter betrayal, a betrayal orchestrated by the very vessel you inhabit. The stubborn adipose tissue, particularly the fat that has taken up residence around your midsection, clings to your frame with a tenacious, almost sentient stubbornness that seems to mock your every sacrifice and defy all logical explanation. The fatigue you experience is not the simple tiredness that follows a long day's work. It is a bone-deep, soul-crushing exhaustion, a leaden weight that settles in your limbs and fogs your mind, forcing you to drag yourself through days that feel increasingly longer, heavier, and more insurmountable than ever before. Your nights offer no respite as your sleep becomes a chaotic battlefield of tossing and turning, a fragmented series of near-wakeful states that leave you feeling more drained upon waking than you were when you lay down. Your body, once a predictable and responsive partner in your wellness journey, now simply refuses to cooperate, its metabolic machinery seemingly seized and unresponsive to the inputs that once yielded predictable results. It is imperative that you understand and internalize this fundamental truth. This debilitating struggle is not a reflection of a character flaw, not a symptom of diminished willpower or a lack of discipline. It is most certainly not an inevitable, non-negotiable consequence of aging, a bleak new reality that you must simply accept with resignation. There exists a clandestine reason for this metabolic mutiny, a hidden saboteur operating deep within your physiological systems, a powerful force working insidiously against you, ensuring that the more intensely you struggle, the more fiercely your body resists your efforts. What if the key to finally dismantling this invisible wall, to unlocking the perplexing mystery of your body's resistance, has been harbored within you? All along, a dormant power waiting to be recognized and reawakened? You are standing on the precipice of a profound discovery, about to learn how to finally identify this internal adversary and, more importantly, how to transform it from a saboteur into your most powerful ally in reclaiming your health and vitality. Unmasking the hidden saboteur, cortisol, the fundamental reason your body seems to be waging a civil war against your intentions, holding on to stored fat with the primal desperation of an organism fighting for its very survival, can be traced back to a single, powerful, and astonishingly ancient survival hormone. It is a chemical messenger whose name you have almost certainly encountered in articles, on television, or in conversations about modern life's relentless pressures: cortisol. Frequently and often simplistically labeled the stress hormone, cortisol is not, in its essence, a villainous entity. In fact, it is a critical component of our physiological design, an evolutionary masterpiece that conferred a significant survival advantage upon our ancestors. It is the biochemical architect of the fight or flight response, the surge of focused energy and heightened awareness that empowered early humans to confront or escape the imminent threat of a saber-toothed tiger or a rival tribe. This acute short-term release of cortisol was a life-saving mechanism, preparing the body for intense physical exertion by mobilizing glucose for immediate energy, sharpening focus, and dampening non-essential functions like digestion and immune response. However, the foundational problem lies in the stark and irreconcilable chasm between the world in which this system evolved and the world we inhabit today. In our modern, hyper-connected, and perpetually demanding society, the metaphorical saber-toothed tigers are no longer rare life-or-death encounters. They are omnipresent, lurking around every corner of our daily existence. These modern tigers manifest as relentless work deadlines, the ceaseless hum of financial anxiety, the frustrating gridlock of daily traffic, the chronic deprivation of restorative sleep, the emotional exhaustion of navigating complex relationships, the constant digital bombardment of social media notifications, and the invisible stress of environmental toxins. When your body is subjected to this unrelenting barrage of low-grade chronic stresses, your intricate and finely tuned hormonal systems deviate from their intended design. Your cortisol levels no longer execute their natural, healthy rhythm of spiking in response to a genuine threat, and then gracefully falling back to a baseline level once the danger has passed. Instead, they remain in a state of chronic pathological elevation, creating a hormonal environment that is perpetually on high alert. When this state of hypercortisolism becomes the new normal, your metabolism, the intricate web of chemical reactions that governs how you create and expend energy, does not merely slow down by a few percentage points. It begins a process of systematic and progressive unraveling, triggering a devastating cascade of physiological dysfunctions that no amount of restrictive dieting or punishing exercise can unilaterally resolve. You are caught in a hormonal tempest, and until you learn to calm the storm itself, you will remain stranded, unable to make any meaningful headway toward your goals. How stress hijacks your body's engine. To truly grasp the depth of the sabotage orchestrated by chronic stress, it is helpful to envision your thyroid gland as the powerful, high-performance engine that drives your entire metabolism. This engine is the central command for your body's energy economy, meticulously dictating the rate at which every single one of your trillions of cells burns fat for fuel and generates the energy required for life itself. Like any sophisticated engine, it cannot run on just any fuel. It requires a specific high-quality grade to operate at peak efficiency. Your thyroid gland, a small butterfly-shaped organ located at the base of your neck, dutifully produces a hormone known as thyroxine or T4. However, T4 is merely the storage or inactive form of this vital fuel. It is akin to crude oil stored in a barrel. It possesses immense potential energy, but it cannot power anything in its current state. For your metabolic engine to actually ignite and run, for your cells to receive the clear and urgent signal to start burning through fat reserves, a critical conversion process must take place. Your liver, along with other peripheral tissues, must act as a refinery, converting the inactive T4 into the biologically active, high-octane hormone called triiodothyronine, or T3. It is this active T3 that functions as the accelerator pedal for your metabolism, binding to nuclear receptors in your cells and instructing them to ramp up their energy production. It is precisely at this crucial conversion point that the insidious sabotage of chronic cortisol elevation begins. When cortisol levels are persistently high, this hormone acts like a formidable roadblock, a biological traffic jam that directly interferes with and blocks the vital enzymatic pathway responsible for converting T4 into the usable T3. But the metabolic treachery does not end there. It gets demonstrably, catastrophically worse. In its panicked, stressed out state, your body, in a misguided attempt to conserve energy for the perceived perpetual emergency, initiates a new, destructive metabolic pathway. It begins to convert your precious T4, the potential fuel for your engine, into a molecular decoy known as reverse T3, RT3. Reverse T3 is a cruel hormonal imposter. On a molecular level, it looks almost identical to the active T3, and because of this structural similarity, it fits perfectly into the T3 receptors on your cells, much like a beautifully crafted but non-functional counterfeit key fits perfectly into your car's ignition. The key slides in smoothly, it looks like it should work, but it lacks the correct cut to engage the tumblers. As a result, the engine will never ever turn over. The reverse T3 molecule occupies the receptor site, effectively blocking the real active T3 from binding and delivering its metabolic message. You are therefore left in a state of cellular hypothyroidism, even if your standard blood tests show normal levels of T4. Your body is awash with potential fuel, but it has lost the ability to ignite it. The inevitable consequences are a pervasive anemic sluggishness, a persistent and frustrating brain fog that clouds your thoughts and dulls your focus, and a body that remains stubbornly, infuriatingly stuck in fat storage mode, regardless of how immaculately clean your diet has become or how many grueling hours you dedicate to the gym. The cruel twist: losing muscle while gaining fat. Just when you believe that the situation could not possibly become any more frustrating or counterintuitive, cortisol unveils another one of its particularly cruel and devastating tricks, a metabolic sleight of hand that accelerates your body's decline. High and unremitting levels of cortisol also exert a suppressive effect on a critical signaling hormone produced in your brain's pituitary gland, thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH. TSH is the master signal, the initial command sent from the central nervous system that effectively tells your thyroid gland to get to work and produce T4 in the first place. So now, you are facing a multi-fronted assault on your metabolic health. Not only is your body failing to properly convert the thyroid hormone it already possesses into its active form, but your brain, under the influence of chronic stress, is also actively instructing your thyroid to slow down production, creating even less raw material to begin with. The entire thyroid hormone production line, from the initial command to the final activation, is being systematically dismantled. However, the final, most demoralizing insult is delivered through a biological process that most people, and even many health practitioners, have never even heard of: gluconeogenesis. This complex term describes a state of metabolic emergency, a primal survival mechanism wherein your body, desperate for a source of quick energy to fuel the unending fight or flight response, begins to perform a truly horrifying act of self-cannibalization. It starts to break down your own precious, metabolically active muscle tissue, catabolizing the protein and converting it directly into glucose or sugar. This newly manufactured sugar is then unceremoniously dumped straight into your bloodstream, causing your blood glucose levels to skyrocket. This sharp spike in blood sugar triggers a compensatory, equally dramatic spike in your insulin levels. Insulin, often referred to as the fat storage hormone, has the primary job of clearing excess sugar from the bloodstream, and it does so by efficiently shuttling that sugar into cells to be stored as fat, particularly as visceral fat, deep within the abdominal cavity. You are now officially trapped in the ultimate metabolic nightmare, a vicious and self-perpetuating feedback loop of destruction. You are simultaneously and actively storing new body fat while losing the very muscle tissue that is essential for maintaining a healthy, fired-up metabolism. You are not just gaining weight in the traditional sense. You are fundamentally altering your body composition for the worse, becoming fatter and weaker at the same time. This is the precise underlying biochemical reason why so many intelligent, dedicated individuals find themselves in a state of utter despair, lamenting, "I am doing the exact same things, eating the same foods, and doing the same workouts that always worked for me before. But now, instead of losing fat, I'm actually gaining it." You must absorb this truth deep into your being. You are not broken. Your body has not failed you. You are simply ensnared in a destructive hormonal feedback loop, a physiological trap that has been set and is continuously fueled by the relentless, invisible, and pervasive stress of modern life. Reclaiming control, a pathway to healing. The most vital and empowering piece of this entire puzzle is the profound and liberating good news. You possess the inherent ability to break free from this debilitating trap. Escaping the confines of this hormonal prison is not a matter of doubling down on the very strategies that have led you to this point of exhaustion and despair. It does not involve more punishment, more severe caloric restriction, or more grueling, high-intensity workouts that only serve to further tax your already depleted system. The true path to liberation lies in a radical paradigm shift, a move away from fighting against your body and toward a new model of working in concert with it. The solution is rooted in learning to speak your body's native language, the language of safety and regulation. It is about consciously and consistently sending your physiological systems clear and unambiguous signals of safety so that your nervous system can finally stand down, turn off the blaring alarm bells of the chronic stress response, and cautiously begin to move out of its entrenched survival mode. The antidote to this complex problem is not found in complexity, but in simplicity. It lies in a series of gentle, strategic, and consistent resets designed to calm the internal chaos and create the necessary conditions for your body to do what it is intrinsically programmed to do: find its equilibrium and heal itself. This journey is not about imposing a new set of rigid, unforgiving rules, but about cultivating a new relationship with your body, one built on a foundation of compassion, understanding, and intelligent cooperation. By addressing the root cause, the perception of threat, you can dismantle the entire dysfunctional cascade and allow your natural state of vitality and metabolic flexibility to re-emerge from beneath the weight of chronic stress. This is not another diet, it is a blueprint for biological peace. Greet the day resetting your master clock. The very first, and arguably one of the most impactful, steps on your journey to reclaiming hormonal balance begins the very moment your eyes open to a new day. Your primary objective must be to actively and intentionally reset your body's master internal clock, a sophisticated network of biochemical oscillators known more formally as your circadian rhythm. To do this, you must make it a non-negotiable priority within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking to expose your eyes to natural daylight. This does not necessitate a strenuous pre-dawn run or an elaborate outdoor workout. The simple, profound act of stepping outside for just 5 or 10 minutes, even on a cloudy or overcast day, is sufficient to initiate this powerful biological cascade. The specific wavelengths of light present in the morning sky, particularly blue light, enter your eyes and travel along the retinohypothalamic tract directly to a tiny region in your brain's hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. The SCN is your body's master pacemaker. It is the central conductor of your entire circadian orchestra, coordinating the rhythms of virtually every cell and organ system in your body. This direct input of morning light sends an unequivocal signal to the SCN, informing it that the day has officially begun and that it is time to align your internal world with the external environment. This simple practice helps to powerfully regulate your cortisol rhythm, encouraging the healthy, natural spike in cortisol that you need in the morning to feel alert, energized, and ready to face the day, while simultaneously setting the stage for cortisol to properly decline in the evening, which is essential for initiating sleep. Furthermore, this crucial morning light exposure has been shown to encourage the healthy production and release of thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH, from the pituitary gland, effectively giving your sluggish thyroid the green light it so desperately needs to begin its important work for the day. This single gentle habit costs nothing and requires minimal effort, yet it provides a foundational anchor for your entire endocrine system, signaling safety and order to a body that has been living in a state of chaotic dysregulation. Nourish, don't punish, a new approach to eating. In a physiological system that is already burned out, depleted, and running on fumes from the relentless demands of chronic stress, much of the popular contemporary advice surrounding nutrition can be profoundly counterproductive, acting as an additional stressor that keeps you firmly stuck in the hormonal trap. The ubiquitous recommendation to start the day by pounding caffeine on an empty stomach or to push your body through aggressive, prolonged fasting protocols can be the very thing that perpetuates the cycle of adrenal exhaustion and metabolic suppression. Instead of forcing your body to endure more perceived hardship, you must shift your mindset to one of radical nourishment, focusing on protecting and replenishing your adrenal glands, the small but mighty organs that sit atop your kidneys and are responsible for producing cortisol. In the morning, make a conscious choice to avoid reaching for that cup of coffee or tea before you have provided your body with substantive fuel. Consuming caffeine in a fasted state, especially when your system is already stressed, can trigger a significant cortisol spike, effectively sending a panic signal to your body and forcing your adrenals to work overtime to manage blood sugar. Instead, begin your day with a meal that contains a balanced combination of high-quality protein and healthy fats. This combination works synergistically to stabilize your blood sugar levels, providing a steady stream of energy and preventing the sharp cortisol and insulin spikes that caffeine and high-carbohydrate breakfasts can trigger in a depleted system. Similarly, if you are grappling with profound exhaustion, brain fog, and other symptoms of a suppressed thyroid, it is not the time to force your body to endure long 16 or 18-hour fasts. This can be interpreted by your body as another severe stressor, a signal of scarcity and famine, which can further elevate cortisol and suppress thyroid function. A much gentler and more supportive approach is to start with a simple 12-hour overnight fast. For example, finishing your evening meal at 7 p.m. and having your nourishing breakfast at 7 a.m. This provides your digestive system with an adequate period of rest and repair without sending your already panicked body into a deeper state of alarm. As you begin to consistently implement these gentler strategies, and as your energy levels begin to return and you feel stronger and more resilient, you can then consider gradually and gently extending your fasting window, always listening to your body's feedback rather than imposing a rigid external rule. Fueling your thyroid, the missing nutrients. Your thyroid gland, the master controller of your metabolic rate, cannot perform its intricate and vital functions in a vacuum. It is a biological factory that requires a specific and consistent supply of raw materials to produce, convert, and activate its hormones effectively. You can provide profound support for its healing and optimal function by ensuring your diet is rich in a handful of key micronutrients that are often deficient in the modern diet. For instance, the mineral selenium is not just helpful. It is an absolutely essential cofactor for the deiodinase enzymes that are responsible for the critical conversion of inactive T4 into active T3. Without adequate selenium, this conversion process grinds to a halt, leaving you with all the symptoms of hypothyroidism, even with sufficient T4 production. Remarkably, you can easily meet your entire daily requirement for this crucial mineral by consuming just 2 Brazil nuts each day. Zinc is another mineral that plays a critical role in multiple aspects of thyroid health, supporting both the initial production of thyroid hormones in the gland itself and the peripheral conversion to T3. It is also vital for the proper function of the hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis, ensuring the signaling between your brain and your thyroid remains clear and responsive. Abundant sources of zinc include pumpkin seeds, oysters, and other shellfish, beef, and lentils. Finally, the element iodine is a fundamental building block of thyroid hormones themselves. The T4 and T3 refer to the 4 and 3 iodine atoms attached to the hormone's molecular structure, respectively. However, iodine must be handled with care and respect. While deficiency can certainly impair thyroid function, excessive intake, particularly from synthetic iodine supplements, can easily be overdosed and can paradoxically backfire, potentially worsening thyroid function and even triggering or exacerbating autoimmune thyroid conditions like Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Therefore, the safest and most effective way to ensure adequate iodine intake is through natural, whole food sources, such as sea vegetables like nori, kombu, and wakame, or through foods like wild-caught fish, shellfish, and pasture-raised dairy and eggs. By focusing on providing these essential building blocks through your diet, you are giving your thyroid the fundamental tools it needs to repair itself and resume its role as the powerful engine of your metabolism. Protect your metabolic engine, the power of strength. When your body has entered the catabolic muscle-wasting state of gluconeogenesis, driven by the incessant demands of chronic cortisol, one of the most powerful and unequivocal signals of safety and necessity you can send it is through the practice of resistance training. This form of exercise sends a message that directly counteracts the body's impulse to cannibalize its own muscle for short-term energy. This does not mean you need to adopt the lifestyle of a professional bodybuilder or spend hours in the gym lifting immense weights. The key lies in consistency and strategic application, not in overwhelming intensity. Committing to just 2 or 3 targeted sessions per week of lifting moderately heavy weights, utilizing resistance bands, or even performing foundational bodyweight exercises such as squats, push-ups, lunges, and planks is more than sufficient to generate the desired hormonal and physiological response. This type of training, which involves placing a demand on your muscles that forces them to adapt and grow stronger, sends a loud, clear, and unambiguous message to your entire system. We absolutely need this muscle tissue. It is metabolically expensive, yes, but it is essential for our strength, our movement, our survival, and our future resilience. This powerful anabolic muscle building signal helps to directly halt the catabolic muscle breakdown process of gluconeogenesis. It encourages your body to preserve your precious metabolically active muscle, which in turn signals to your system that it is safe and in fact preferable to begin burning stored body fat for fuel rather than sacrificing its structural integrity. Beyond halting muscle loss, strength training provides a cascade of additional metabolic benefits. It dramatically improves insulin sensitivity, effectively turning your muscles into sponges that readily soak up glucose from the bloodstream, which helps to stabilize blood sugar and reduce the need for high insulin levels. Furthermore, increasing your muscle mass raises your resting metabolic rate, meaning you burn more calories throughout the day, even when at rest. This is how you rebuild and protect your metabolic engine for the long term. The surprising neurological reset, your secret weapon for calm. This final step in your healing journey may initially sound unusual, perhaps even a bit strange, but it is an exceptionally powerful, evidence-based neurological tool that allows you to directly interface with your autonomic nervous system to lower cortisol and actively shut down your body's pervasive stress response. Tonight, before you drift off to sleep, I want you to experiment with this simple yet profound practice. Lie down comfortably and take a few gentle breaths. Now gently press the tip and blade of your tongue firmly against the inside of your left cheek, holding the pressure for about 10 seconds. Feel the muscles in your tongue and jaw engage. Now relax and then switch to the other side, pressing your tongue against the inside of your right cheek and holding it there for another 10 seconds. Repeat this simple sequence, alternating sides, for a total of 4 or 5 repetitions. This is not some esoteric magic trick. It is a direct and tangible neurological reset. This specific action of pressing your tongue laterally activates your hypoglossal nerve, cranial nerve ducine, which controls tongue movement, and also engages your trigeminal nerve, cranial nerve V, both of which have intricate connections within the brainstem to the vagus nerve, cranial nerve X. The vagus nerve is the main superhighway of your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest, digest, and repair system, that acts as the physiological antidote to the fight or flight response. Activating these nerves in this specific way sends a direct signal of safety and calm from the periphery of your body up to your brain's control centers, helping to downregulate your sympathetic nervous system and lower circulating levels of cortisol right before you go to sleep. When you practice this consistently over time, it can have a profound cumulative effect, toning your vagal response and helping to calm your entire system, which in turn supports the deep, restorative, and uninterrupted sleep your body so desperately needs to repair hormonal pathways and rebuild its resilience. It is a subtle, quiet practice, but its true power is unlocked through its patient and persistent repetition. As your cortisol levels finally begin to recede from their chronically elevated state, the real magic begins to unfold. Your roadblock on the T4 to T3 conversion highway is cleared, and your thyroid can finally begin to produce the active hormone your cells have been craving. Your metabolism, slowly and cautiously at first, begins to recover its former efficiency. Your body ceases the destructive process of cannibalizing its own muscle for sugar. Your insulin levels stabilize, releasing you from the roller coaster of blood sugar spikes and crashes. Your energy, mental clarity, and innate sense of vitality begin to return, like a landscape regreening after a long drought. Your body, at last, feels safe enough to release its iron-fisted grip on the stubborn fat it has been so fiercely guarding. It is crucial to remember, always, that your body has never been fighting you. It has only ever been trying to protect you based on the signals it was receiving. When you learn to change the signals, when you send it consistent messages of safety, nourishment, strength, and calm, the state of emergency can finally end, and the profound innate process of healing can truly begin. This is how you make the fundamental shift from merely surviving to genuinely and joyfully thriving.